Hello, everyone, and welcome down to episode 134 of Australia's most loved and most rated, highest rated photography podcast, the Down South Photo Show, with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the guy on your other screen or in your other ear if you're listening to the show. It's Cam Blake in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Hello, Cameron.
Hello, Brendan. That was another great intro. That was good.
I'm trying to mix it up, but doing it on the fly and unscripted.
I know what you know what you're going to do. You're going to mix it up and then just stuff it up, and then we'll be on to another take too. Most loved. I like. Yeah, I guess that's well, based on what we're going to talk about later. We had a lot of people say they loved the show, so
this is true, and we will get to that. And you'll be able to scroll through to that with the time coding that's now available on our YouTube channel.
Talking of time codes, shout out to Chelsea, because if I don't shout out, she gets grumpy. But she listened to 133 yesterday.
Very good.
And I got this voice message saying, "Oh my God, you use timestamps. That's so exciting." I guess some people get excited by some things.
She champions us. She champions the show. She wants it to succeed, which is great.
She champions everything she touches pretty much. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we should get her on. We should get on as a special guest.
I think we can.
Hey, you know what? I had a crazy idea. I know you're trying to do the other shit, but I'm just cutting in.
It's fine. Totally fine.
That's fine. I went to macro workshops that we did, which we'll talk about later. We had the beautiful Mel on there, Mel H or Mallory.
We both caught up with Mel in the last week.
We did. I've got an amazing idea that when we get to the macro workshops, remind me. I'll put a note in there. Remind me of an idea that involves Mel.
Okay, I like it. I like this already. People are already. It's a cliffhanger.
You're gonna have to wait to hear what I've got.
Yeah, no, they're looking for the time code already that says surprise for Mel.
Yeah, surprise.
Thank you to everyone who has followed along with the channel, shared us around in all those fun places, social media, on all of your favorite podcast apps. Spotify. We're on Spotify. Do you know that, Cam?
We are on Spotify. We do pretty well on Spotify. That's where I listen to all of my shows.
And can I just ask our listeners a favor? Just for us, we don't ask much of our listeners, but one little favor. Would you mind giving us, if you are on Apple Podcasts, giving us a little 5-star review, if you don't mind, if you think we're worthy, a little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our algorithm a lot. Thank you very much.
You know, we're just going to get a bunch of 1 stars now, aren't we?
That might help too. It's better than no stars.
Any stars, yeah.
Any stars are good stars.
Our viewers are great and our listeners are fantastic, but they are a little bit lazy on the pressing of buttons, I think.
No,
they're not. Oh, no, they're awesome. Thank you.
Only 40% of them are lazy at pressing buttons, apparently. So that's the majority 40%. Rules. So that's fine.
That's a lot.
Now, our black and white competition is coming to an end.
Well, it's ended now, once this comes out.
No, we'll have one more day on Saturday. There's 31 days in August last time I checked. So you'll be able to... Yes, today's Thursday. You'll be able to jump on if you are listening to this when it dropped or within 24 hours of it dropping, then you still have time. If it is still the 31st of August where you are, wherever you are in the world, you can still enter our black and white landscape photo comp. And you do that, Cameron, by going where?
You go to our Down South Photo Show Facebook page, which will have a pinned post saying this month's August competition theme, which is black and white. We currently have, holy cow, we've got a lot.
Well, a lot more got added because one of us might have put a little post up saying, "Hey, quick, get your entries in." So
we've got 119 comments on it. So I'd say divide that by 2 is how many entries at least.
Yeah, so that's a lot, and which is fantastic. So thank you for everyone who has entered our comps over the journey, and this one is no exception.
There's a lot of sand dunes.
Ooh, we like sand dunes.
Yeah,
sand dunes make good contrasty black and whites.
And a lot of foggy shots. Yeah. There's some pretty cool old cloudy shots.
Yes.
Oh, there's even an infrared shot in there. That's pretty tricky.
Is there snow, Cameron? Just say yes. It's a segue to your background.
Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there's definitely a snow one there. Gee, how did I miss that?
That's right. Cameron, backgrounds. You can start this week.
Well, what a coincidence that my background actually has snow in it, dickhead.
Be buggered.
So this is the other day I went out with some friends. Should I give them a shout out? Maybe not.
Yes, you absolutely should give them a shout out.
I went out another day. I won't tell you what day it was in case any of them called in sick to work or didn't arrive to work on time. But sometime in August, I went out with some friends and we took a shot. I took a drive up to the snow And this was up at Lake Sinclair, which is Australia's deepest freshwater lake. I think I don't know how exactly deep it is, like 180 feet or something like that. It's pretty deep. It was freezing cold. It was bucketing down snow, not settling, but just buckling down. So you can see there, it's over the other side of the lake, just big snow showers coming through. It was very cool to watch as the wind blew the snow across. But we spent the whole day out taking some photos, and it was really good. We got Cheryl, a good friend of the show, and also co-hosting Macro Legend. She got to catch up with some snow. She's from WA, so it doesn't really snow there much. So she got to play with some snow, and Jamie and Chelsea were also there. We all had a good time. Something I've never seen anyone do before on this trip. It was quite impressive. Jamie bought a 1 kilo bag of party mix, Allen's Lollies, and pretty much ate the whole bag on the whole day.
Okay.
That's impressive.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't done that before. Have you?
Nothing like type 2 diabetes to get you through. Truth.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And to top it off, he knocked off a couple of e-drinks on top of that. So
really,
if he wasn't jumping or standing on the top of his roof upside down at the end of the night, I don't know what was. But we had a great day. It was a really good day to get some snow shots. But yeah, I think we're getting some more snow this weekend here, down to 500, 400
Yeah,
meters,
it's funny, isn't it? Like we commented, I think last week or the week before, how mild the weather had got, and I think both of us went, no, it's something. There's more coming. Don't worry.
Yeah, where Mother Nature said, "Hold my beer. I've got more coming."
Right. Yeah,
but that's nothing compared to what I'm seeing behind your noggin. You have a photo in your background that I think you are slightly chuffed about.
Let me make me full screen, because I just made you full screen.
Oh, I was going to say, do you get full screen option?
I full screen. There we are. So that is, yeah, terrible. That's the really ugly Victorian high country, isn't it terrible? So backstory. So at the Bright Festival of Photography this year, I am up there running a couple of workshops, and I'm going to be a part of the big bus trip, which has happened over the last few years, where Charlie Brown, who is the preeminent photographer from Mount Beauty, but it's really Toowoomba South where he is. But it's he's got his gallery at Mount Beauty there, and he's been a BFOP stalwart from pretty much day one. So he takes the bus trips up there, and this year the powers that be have decided to throw one Mr. Waits into the mix as well. And we have added to that bus trip to basically make it a full day. Now, the details of which are still coming to light. So I'm just going to make myself back there. We're both sharing the screen now. The details are still getting nutted out, but we're pretty close. Right. And yeah, it's basically going to be a full day. But anyway, we went out scouting locations, and we ended up on Mount Hotham at the end of the day, waiting for the light. Now, that shot, it was literally a bolt out of the blue. So we couldn't see anything when we got up there. It was a whiteout.
Yeah.
And so we drove all the way up to the top to the ski fields there at Hotham, and just sort of, had a bit of a look around, and it was freezing cold. And we got a bit of a view on the way up, but more looking, I guess, to the east. So this is obviously looking to the west, where the sun was setting. And then we started sort of making our way back down. There was a bit of a lookout on one of the corners. It was teasing us. The view was coming and going and coming and going. And then we came around the corner at Danny's Lookout, which one you're familiar with, Cam.
Yeah, great view.
And holy smokes, we saw that.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. So yeah, we got hang on, so we had the valley, but what was happening was the light was reaching the valley floor here.
Yeah.
And just look at the way it's painted in all of these, and also across this side, and then look at the light rays, because the atmosphere was quite heavy. There was a lot of particles in the atmosphere, and it was just lighting up. It was unbelievable. Even Charlie was quite chuffed. He was like, "Yeah, I've been up here a lot, and it's not always like this." So
no, I imagine those sun rays were dancing all over the place, and
unbelievable. Yeah, and that's right. And individual rays were sort of coming and going. You could watch them make their way up the valley and light up.
Yeah,
and of course, when you're at Danny's Lookout, there's not a heap of foreground, so I'm literally running close to the edge. And mind you, staring headlong into a strong westerly wind. It doesn't look, you can't tell it on this photo, obviously, but the wind was freezing.
Yeah, that is a windy spot, and it's not a friendly fall off the edge of that. I reckon it goes straight down pretty quickly.
I think if you go up that way a bit, it goes more straight down. Where we were wasn't so
wasn't too bad.
but
Yeah, okay.
yeah, but
Cracker.
yeah, and I've been accused before by someone, of running around like a mad person trying to get compositions. Well, that was no exception.
Yeah.
I think I took about I would have rattled off easy 50 or 60 frames in that location, just because it was just changed every 2 seconds. And 3 times we got in the car to leave, and each time
Just
went,
got better. Yeah.
not yet. So we got back
Can
out.
I question without notice?
Yes.
What's that shot on, firstly?
So this is on my OM5.
OM5.
Hang on, please hold. Or is this my OM5? I think no, this is on my EM1X.
Oh, right. Okay. And what lens did you have on that? The 12 to 100?
The 12 to 200.
12 to 200, that one. And did you take any zoom shots into those valleys?
Yes. Many zoom shots.
Okay. So
zooming in and picking out the highlights and the ridge lines and all that sort of stuff. Because if you can see, I'll point it out. That ridge line right there was absolutely gorgeous. It's got a little row of trees that were just silhouetted perfectly.
Yeah.
And I felt, I mean, it's like, we've said this before on the show. It feels like a privilege to shoot that stuff. You see it, and it doesn't happen all the time. Like, it might happen 2 or 3 times a year where you find yourself in a stunning spot with the light, and that's the key is the light. So
the first key is being there.
Well, exactly, and I think that's where the festival will be great, because I would hazard a guess to say there's not a lot of people that would sort of voluntarily go up there for a sunset on their own.
No.
The road's a little treacherous, particularly if it does get a bit icy. So, so to go up there, with like-minded photographers and in a safe environment, I think is going to be pretty wicked.
So you're up there for sunset.
We'll be there for sunset after shooting for the day at 2 or 3 other locations. Yeah.
My main concern is what time can we start drinking when you get back? Because that's going to be
right.
It's going to be like 9 o'clock before. It's going to be 8 or 9 o'clock by the time you get back.
It's going to really revolve around. Okay, so this photo was done at about 4:45, so it's not actually that late. And sunset when we were there was 5 foot, another hour later. So we'll gauge that. We're sort of. We don't know. It depends on the light. I mean, we might not get anything, but that's the beauty of going to the other locations we're doing earlier. One of which I'm really excited about, and a place I'd never been before until just the other day. And hopefully we can get people into that.
Can you tell us where that is?
Yeah, it's Bogong Village.
Oh yes, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a beautiful lake there, but just further up is a sensational river. So part of where the fainter river meets the something other river.
Yep, I think I know where you are. So when BFOP's on, your sunset is at 7:25.
Correct. We have already logged that information. So
you won't be off that mountain until at least 8.
With any luck, we won't be, because it means the light's good.
So again, I'm more worried about our drinking time.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. There's always Sunday.
So there's always midnight.
That's right. Exactly. I've only got to do it. I've only got to do this trip twice. That's right. The next one might be a bit sketchy, but anyway. In a nutshell, if you're going to BFOP, or if you haven't bought your BFOP tickets yet, there is literally I think 3 or 4 left, and they might be gone by the time this goes out.
Yeah. So don't bother. Don't bother. Yeah, you missed out. Try again next year.
BFOPaustralia.com, jump on, and if you want to join me and Mr. Charlie Brown on that little workshop, or indeed if you want to join Mr. Cam Blake on one of his workshops at BFOP, by all means.
Do it. That's awesome. Great shot. I like it.
Quick shout out before we go on. Marcia and Russell. Russell Charters is a listener to the show. That name would be familiar to you. He's entered a few competitions along the journey. And they popped into the shop and said g'day. So whenever you pop into Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, you get a shout out on the Down South Photo Show if you mention the show, which they did. And they actually gushed over it a bit, Cam.
What, the show?
They said they quite liked it, which was
I doubt it.
A little bit embarrassing.
No one likes this show.
Made me blush.
No one likes this show. We dropped out of the top 10 this week, so that's not
good. I beg to differ, because the reactions we had to last week's show when we asked how many people had watched every episode were quite something.
There was a lot. And if I did detect the tone of how dare you ask me if I've watched every episode, there was a little bit of that, like, how dare, what a stupid question. Of course I've watched every episode. So there was someone who commented, I saw you guys at episode 80, and I've been binging to catch up ever since.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
I saw that one, and I think someone else said that they started like really early, like episode 7 or something, and haven't
Right.
missed since, which is equally as impressive. So if you you don't have to watch these sequentially. That's not like a saga. It's not like a
Well, it
drama.
feels like it.
Sometimes there is, but
Excuse
it's
me.
not really like a, and every episode is titled, so you might scroll back through the back catalog, folks, and find one that you might be interested in.
And good news, a really important announcement is Brendan's going back through all 134 episodes and time stamping them all.
Absolutely not.
Not. Yeah, that'd take forever, wouldn't it?
It was hard enough going back and changing about 20 of the thumbnails, let alone time coding every episode.
You know what we should do? We should give Chelsea the final edit, and she can go timestamp them all.
Yes. We've got the budget for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
But what happens with all these people that have watched all the episodes?
Yeah. Well, we're working on that. There'll definitely be some merch involved.
I got some new merch today. Look.
I like the red.
The red's good, isn't it? Yeah. And I've got you some stuff.
Oh, have you?
And I've got some Down South Photo Show stuff.
Goodness me.
Yeah, I've got 3 boxes of stuff delivered.
So I'm sorted for BFOP then.
Yes, you are sorted for BFOP.
I'll be Down South Photo Showed up.
Yes, you will.
Excellent.
You won't miss you, because I've got this yellow T-shirt for you with a giant heads on the front of it.
Yellow.
Yeah,
well, that's my yellow.
Yellow.
That's definitely my color.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the High Country adventure was absolutely brilliant. Stayed in Bright for a couple of nights. Caught up with Mal, and his lovely wife Jeanette. Had a great time. Had a great meal at the Alpine.
Yeah,
there's a plug for you. But the Bright Brewery, can't get enough of that place.
It is a bit of a historically awesome place now, isn't it? Bright Brewery.
Oh, look, it is. It's excellent. But the drive. So I come up the Hume. Gee, the Hume's in bad shape.
It's pothole city, isn't it?
What a terrible road.
Yeah, come on, Victoria government, lift your game.
Sort your shit out. But you sort of turn off at Snow Road there, and it's like, you start getting a taste for the brewery because you've been driving for a few hours. And
yeah. You didn't stop at the Double Maccas?
No.
Just
I've been
straight past that shithole of place and keep going.
Glenrowan Maccas, no. Kept on going, but really enjoyed my time up there, and just wandering around Bright is such a great spot. So you've got so many things that you can photograph there. So there's
maybe we could do it. Maybe next year or the year after next, we could do a Down South Photo Show Bright workshop. That'd be cool.
Right. Yeah.
Sponsored by the Bright Brewery.
Yeah, but it was cool because I got to go to places I'd never been to, which is always highly recommended if you're into photography. It got me off the beach.
Yeah.
Shooting stairways down to the ocean at Auroras and things, and got me back into the bush. And there's something about it. There's something about the Aussie bush. I don't know what it is. It's the smells. It's the sounds. I love the sound of cockies and galahs that you get up here. And it's just fantastic.
The Currawongs and all that kind of stuff are good.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was awesome. And the photography was
terrible,
next level.
Look at it.
Next level. So superb. Cam, you wanted to talk about the Australian Geographic Nature Award winners.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that first, or you want to do the next one first?
Yeah, let's do that first. That sort of ties in. Yeah. So that every year they do the Nature Awards, which they have a whole heap of different categories. It's run by Aus Geo, but it's hosted by the South Australian Museum of Art, I believe. Museum of Modern Art. Yeah, it's all done in South Australia, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
So anyone can enter. There's certain criteria of where the photos have got to be from, and how old they can be, like most competitions. But they announced the winners today. So there was like aerial, landscape, there was macro, there was protected species, there was environmental impact that we've done on the nature and things like that. But the winner was a really cool shot of this overhead shot of this a couple of whales playing in the water.
I don't know that we'll be able to put it on the screen.
We probably can't.
Some kind of copyright sort of stuff there, but you can jump on. I'm on samuseum.sa.gov.au right now and looking at it.
We could put a link in the description if people want to go check it out.
Exactly.
So it's a cool aerial shot of these whales sort of doing circle work around each other with the bubbles and the tail splashes, and it sort of looks like little dots all around. So it's very cool. So That was done by Scott Portelli.
I actually know what they're doing in that photo. Do you know what they're doing in that photo?
They're trying to stir up fish, is it?
Well, the bubbles create an artificial net, if you like, around, and it keeps them all the fish in the middle.
Yeah.
So they basically net them with their own air bubbles. Isn't that unbelievable? And to get a shot of that is phenomenal.
It's very cool. Scott had some incredible shots. He had almost shots in every category, which was pretty impressive. There was a few aerial shots of whales, and it got me thinking. This is not a rant or controversy, but it just got me thinking a bit about. I wasn't sure you could have drones or anything over whales, but most state laws, I think, is 100 meters away from whales. So I guess if you're at the ceiling of 140 meters that your drone can do, maybe that's what was happening. I don't know, but there did seem to be a lot of aerial shots of whales that got me thinking. But an awesome shot, good winner. Like I said, any one of his images was pretty cool. He could have probably won a few different categories. So
that's an absolutely superb photo. Our friend Matt Crummins would be impressed with that one, being into the whales that he is as well.
Well, he won last year, the wildlife. Didn't he win something last year? Was this the same competition Matt won? I don't know.
I'm not overly sure. Probably.
I thought it was. Might have been something, but so it was good. It's good.
We could have researched that.
We could have.
Yeah,
but I think that might have been a different competition. But anyway, Matt's awesome. He does some awesome shots.
Yeah. No, well done, Scott Portelli. That is a superb photo.
Yeah, it was very cool. So, but if anyone's looking to enter some awards and get their work out there, that's one that I think is really quite a good one. Yeah. It's generally minimal editing. It's got to be sort of fairly natural, not too much editing and adjustments and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's always some really cool shots in there. So
yeah, we've talked about photo competitions before, particularly one in particular that turned out to be quite interesting, to say the least. This one seems to have a bit of prestige about it. And they seem to be fairly straight shooters, people who judge this sort of stuff. So definitely one worth checking out. We will link it.
Yeah, and just to confirm, Matt Crummins did win the monochrome category last year.
There you go.
Or his underwater shot.
Must be an awesome.
Well, they don't just give them out to no one, do they?
No, they don't. Australian Geographic, Cameron. Anything else you'd like to mention to do with them?
No. I think we get onto DeerCam now. I think.
Okay, no worries. No.
There is a sort of a big announcement that we've got, isn't there? Well, I've got.
Go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Oh, thanks very much. So as of next year, I've actually joined forces with Australian Geographic. And their travel section, so Aus Geo Travel, that they do lots of different trips all around Australia. I'm working with them in partnership to run a couple of masterclass workshops on Flinders Island next year and 2026. And then we're also going to be doing the Tarkine Wilderness, where you've been, you know what it's all about. We'll also be doing that in 2025 or 2026 as well. So this sort of came about, sort of a backwards sort of way of how it all works. But I was in touch with them about something else. And I just put the suggestion to them. I said, well, why are you not doing any photography workshops like we do? Like there's a market for it. And it's a snowball from there. So they said, right, you're the man. Let's join forces with you and let's get them out there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that partnership. They're an amazing.
I don't want to gloss over this, Cam. It's absolutely awesome. It's a fantastic achievement for yourself, and congratulations, because I know our listeners will be chuffed for you, because Australian Geographic, as I said just a minute ago, is a very upstanding organisation. They seem to push a lot of environmental agendas, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And certainly, as I said, hold pretty lofty standards. So to be associated with them. Feather in your cap, mate. So well done.
Thanks very much. I really was a bit surprised, to be honest. But they seem happy with how I'm putting it all together, and we've already the Flinders Island one is already on sale, and I think there's already a few spots going on that. And then the Tarkine one will be released, I think, probably next week after this comes out. Awesome. And we had a few people ask questions about, does this mean that your workshops are completely different, or are all your workshops with them? That's not the case. It's just a couple of these ones, these master classes that we're calling them. They'll be practically the same workshops I run. It's just with the might and power and the reputation of Aus Geo behind them, supporting them. It just means we can reach a bigger audience and their mailing list is slightly bigger than mine by about a 12-fold. So that's pretty cool. So, and I think I can also announce the second part of this now because
it's announcement central.
It is announcement central. So on top of the Aus Geo Nature Awards going out, I had to hold off to announce this because they are also releasing the Aus Geo Award calendar and books and calendars and diaries and stuff like that. But I've also paired up with them for 2025 to do their panorama calendar. So the big giant calendar they do every year. They asked me to do that and supply images. So the whole calendar is pretty much my work in big form, and they're huge. They're not like little ones, they're big ones. So they'll be available to buy on my website and also Aus Geo workshops. Aus Geo, their website as well, under their calendars, and we'll put a link. We'll put a link in below. But so yeah, it's been the last 2 months or so. It's just been very Aus Geo centric with talking to them, and it was all weird because it all came about because the lady that does the calendars at Aus Geo, she's on my mailing list of workshops. And she just emailed me and said, "Oh, one day I really want to go on one of your workshops." And bang, that's I saw an opportunity and went for it. So yeah, so it's exciting, and
it's funny the different paths that we get taken down sometimes. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank
superb.
You.
So everyone go over and buy an Aus Geo calendar for 2025.
Yeah, sell them out.
Yeah, do it, as I say, linked below. Now,
cool.
So well done to you. You also, was this the first time you'd run macro workshops last week?
We did the same thing in May.
Right.
So Cheryl and I did two-day workshops in May, and then we just repeated the same thing again in August. So we've just got back from Mount Field a couple of days ago, and then Cradle Mountain was a couple of days before that. And it was wonderful. We had a great couple of groups. Everything went really well. There wasn't as much fungi around as expected, but there was heaps of amazing mosses and little bugs around, and even just like little water droplets on little things. Like we had lots of amazing things to shoot. So we had overall about 15 people on the 2 workshops. And it was good. It was a bit cold in Cradle. We got a bit of rain and things like that, but it all worked. It all went really well. The
beauty of shooting in nature.
Yeah, you can't really avoid it. But we had the wonderful Mel on there. He came on the Cradle Mountain macro workshop. And everyone knew Mel. He was a celebrity. It was great.
He is. That's right. He's world famous, literally world famous.
He is well. His name has been spruiked all around the world on this show. So, but he's a lovely guy, Mel. I cannot talk highly enough of him.
Yes.
With how he is. He's just gentle. He's kind. He's nothing's too much. He likes a laugh. He likes a beer. So it was great having him on there. But we got thinking, like, he's arguably number 1 ticket holder. Maybe Jenny is equal 1. I don't know.
There might be Jenny.
Well, let's say they're joint number 1s, maybe.
Okay. Yep.
But I thought what could be really cool is just have Mel on another little box on our live stream here, just drinking a beer, muted and just watching.
Okay.
I think that could be quite funny. So we had a bit of a chat about that.
So we do a live show and have him there, or we
just a live show and just have him offside.
Yeah.
Just watching, drinking a beer.
I think that's a great idea, and we will make that happen.
It would be pretty funny. And I said,
I don't know how to make that happen. I'm sure the technology exists.
Oh, easy. We just dial him in as a third person, put him on mute.
Can we have him as a small box somewhere? Can we?
Well, I think so. I think you can make them different sizes. But I just thought watching Mel drink a few beers while he's watching us, just not saying anything, just like a live audience.
Yeah. Well, I as I said, I did have the pleasure of Mel's company the other night and his lovely wife at the Alpine Hotel, and a couple of beers were had, and it was excellent. It was very good. I think that's a great idea.
If you'd like to see Mel in a little box on a live show down the bottom, comment below and we'll get him on.
I actually found out a lot about Mel.
Yes, you did. You did. I told Mel this when I saw him. He's like, what did he find out? Well, we found out he was a wedding photographer, didn't we?
In the late 70s and early 80s, which is no mean feat, because back then you were skating on thin ice at weddings, and you needed to rely on your gear. So, and clearly your expertise. So,
but we had a good time, Macro, and we'll most likely do it again next year. We do have a workshop that we've put together that we have announced to the group of the four groups that we came along to go to the Daintree and do 4 days of macro photography up in the Daintree, thinking tree frogs and tree snakes.
There's a spot for macro.
Yeah, it's butterflies and bugs. It's really cool. Now we sent that out to about 40 people today. There's only 6 spots available, and it's almost sold out already. So I don't think it's any point mentioning it on the show because it'll probably be sold out by then. But it's funny. It's funny. It was actually really good fun to work with Cheryl because Cheryl's predominantly macro and I'm predominantly landscape. And it's just amazing. And same like with working with you, like we all see things so differently.
Yeah, we do.
And it was just amazing to walk through the forest. There was this one moment at Cradle where we had just this fog all come down into the forest, like just classic Cradle Mountain forest foggy stuff. And you could sort of see the whole group just shifted from macro to, holy shit, can we do landscape? This is really good.
Yes, we can.
And Cheryl's gone from, but everything's really small down here. And I'm like, but look at this over here. So our two passions sort of started to divide a bit. And in the end, half the group said, no, I'm going to do macro. And the other half said, no, I'm going to go do a walk through this forest. And everyone won. So, but it was good to just work with someone whose main thing isn't necessarily landscape and just watch from afar how they work and how they interact with people. It's really good. So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it is good. I enjoy like your company when we're off taking photos and, and particularly, I always, this year was punctuated by, well, it's not, the year's not over yet, but this year has been punctuated by some pretty incredible photographic opportunities that you and I have got to share. And one was the redwood forest up at the Otways.
Yeah.
When we got in there and actually seeing how our group reacted to it as well, was fantastic. And you find when there's a group, you'll get your ones that like to stick together, which is totally cool. That's, and they're sharing ideas and this is the competition. And then you get 2 or 3 group that are just gone.
Yeah, like we had Alan. Alan was on the Great Ocean Road workshop with us, and he was on the Cradle Mountain macro workshop. And I don't think the bus door had even slammed, and he was gone. And he was like, "Where's Alan?" I'm like, "He'll be back." He just off he went. So,
and friend of the show, Russell, who did the Tarkine with us. Remember, he was one of those. He just liked to vanish.
Yep, just a vanisher,
which is totally cool. I mean, that's part of it. And when you do a workshop, there's 2 sides to it. There's the learning side of it, and then there's the actual spot that you get put in for the workshop, like the landscape itself. And there's you don't have to sit there and listen and look, a lot of people know the stuff we're talking. We're just sort of reinforcing it, if you like. You don't have to. You can go. The amount of times you're standing there and you're talking to people and they're like looking over their shoulder, like, can you stop talking, please? I'm gonna go over here.
Well, that was a little bit like that. We had up at Cradle Mountain with that forest. We're talking. You could see everyone just collectively went, "Oh, this is getting really good. Like, are we going to keep crapping on about this macro, or are we going to go do this?" So but yeah, like I think something that's really important about doing these photo trips with whether or not it's you and I or whoever, it's got to be an experience. It doesn't just have to be 100% learning, like you said. It's all about, one, you learn some things, which is great. You learn to tap into someone's brain who might be a bit better at something than you, but you also get to, like you said, go to these cool places in cool locations. Someone on the macro workshop said the other day that, these are great, these things, because I don't have to do anything. All my thinking is done by you guys. And all I do is just pay a fee and I rock up, my camera's ready. I can wander off. If I've got questions, you're there to help. It's a really relaxing sort of thing for people. So
but and your experience with Tasmania means that you're able to put people in the right place pretty much at the right time every time.
We try.
I mean, you're always at the mercy of the weather, of course, but 9 times out of 10, the timing's right, and then the light comes, which is brilliant. One thing I want to add as well: a lot of people I talk to like to build holidays around a workshop. So it might be 3 or 4 days on a workshop, but you're in Tassie, or you're on the Great Ocean Road, or you're in the high country, or you're in the Daintree. You're not just going to go there, do the workshop, and piss off home. You're going to, you can then almost be there on your own and put into practice what you've learnt on the workshop. Or you're instantly in a fantastic location. So
yeah, well, that's what Alan did on this one. He's spending another 3 days past what we did at Cradle.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I've done the macro. Where should I go? And I gave him a few little spots to go every morning. And
yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Like usually these things are 4 or 5 day workshops. You don't have to spend all that 4 or 5 days just there. You can extend it and spend a bit more time and, put some things that you learned into practice. So yeah, they're good fun workshops.
So a question with notice, because it's in the run sheet. What is more important, Cameron, composition or exposure in a landscape image?
We are going to do that, are we? Okay, this will take about 15 seconds, you said. What's more important, composition or exposure in landscape imaging? I think composition. For example, your shot behind you.
Mm-hmm. I'll show off again because I'm so proud.
Show off again. I would argue that the exposure is more important in this shot than the composition. Because if you get that exposure wrong with that light, that shot loses all its appeal.
It's classic chicken or egg stuff, isn't it? Because
it is,
because you can't have the right exposure without the right composition.
well, you sort of can in a way. Like if you,
true, yeah.
If you were to stuff that exposure up, you could still take the same frame and its composition. But if you overexpose it by 2 stops, that's just rat shit.
Oh, that's right. The detail in the foreground there just vanishes, or in the valleys there just disappears. So, and to a certain extent, if you look at the sky there, it is a wee bit overexposed. But I had to. I mean, that was what was producing that amazing light. So
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, thinking about it now a bit more, because we weren't even going to do this section. You just chucked it in there.
Yeah, we should.
I am going to say that exposure is more important. Just thinking, I think exposure is more important than composition. Like, for example, my background here, if I again get that exposure wrong, all that snow shower just vanishes. It becomes wrong. Composition, you can sort of work on composition a bit post editing by cropping and things like that. But I'm going to say exposure is the more important thing. What would your answer be?
I'm going to say composition. The reason I say that is because the example I'll give is when I was up there and I was on the fly, and the compositions were what was leaping off the page. To a certain extent, exposure, it should be the first thing that you get right and then forget about it and create compositions. Yeah. So does that make it more important? I'm not so sure. It's like you get it right and then you're changing your composition. You're looking for the composition. So for me, composition's king. And I like to, it's a tricky one to teach, composition.
It is very tricky. Yeah.
The reason it is, I think, is because landscapes are so changeable. I mean, look at our 2 landscapes behind us, for example, chalk and cheese, completely different comps. You got a low horizon, you've got, white area and gray areas at the top. Mine's, spectacular, big landscape, big sky, that sort of stuff. It changes so much. However, I think, exposure is a little easier to teach. Composition is a little harder to teach.
We are going to disagree. I think
which generally leans me towards composition being more important. It's hard. It is hard to nail composition, in my opinion. It's easier to nail exposure. Exposure is a formula.
Yeah,
it's pretty much like a scientific formula. Whereas composition, you go on feel a lot.
Yeah,
the best landscape photographers. Let's go back to Ansel Adams. Like his compositions were everything, like these meandering rivers and his pine trees and all that sort of stuff. So I think for me, and you're completely right in what you say, it can be argued either way, and I could be swayed. However, I think a good composition, you find that first and then you expose it correctly. It's not the other way around. So you get
so what happens with your image behind you?
Yep.
If you rock up on Denny's Lookout and you're looking out there and you're like, oh my God, that light is spectacular, which it is. Like it's stunning light.
Yep.
Do you automatically go, I've got to get that light right? That's important, or do you automatically go composition? I've got the light. I'll get the composition.
No, the first thing I always do is exposure. There's no question about that. That always comes first, and then because the way I teach it is get your exposure right, and then really, if the light's not going to change too much, and although the light rays in that valley were coming at me quickly, the actual exposure value didn't change that much. So once I had that right, I could then, do my and this was a classic example of exposing, and we say this all the time, Cam, exposing for the light that we see, because that light in the valley, that prominent light that's lighting up the valley there, is what I wanted to expose for. I wanted that detail. But again, if my exposure was out by 1 or 2 stops either side, that's salvageable with the dynamic range that we've got available to us. So whereas compositions, you said compositions, you can do a bit in post. You can do a bit.
A bit.
You can do more with exposure.
Yeah, you're right there. You can probably you can adjust or fix things a bit more. I think this is a bit of a, like I said, it's an either way.
It's a chicken and egg thing.
Chicken egg thing. Like composition is important, absolutely, to make the interesting image, but composition without good light doesn't matter really. You got to have that good light. But then again, good light without a composition is great light, but it's a boring shot. So it is a chicken and egg kind of thing.
And clearly they go hand in glove. Like they're, you can't have one without the other. You've got to have good composition, good exposure equals good photo, generally speaking. So,
but does the right exposure, like you could also argue that the right exposure creates the composition?
Mate, the right exposure can make or break a photo. There's no two ways about that.
Your composition on that shot behind you has the eye leading yourself through the valley.
Yes.
But you take that light away and it's just a flat sort of landscape shot from a mountain range. So I'd still argue that maybe exposure is a little bit, maybe it's got its nose in front by like a nostril or something.
Okay. Right. You back exposure, I'll back composition, and we'll see who comes home first.
That didn't take 15 seconds.
No, it actually took a bit longer. True. Look, I don't know. I was actually playing around a lot with exposure. Well, because we had a bit of time, although the light was coming at us pretty quick. We could see that we weren't going to get fogged out again because the cloud had lifted and was at that higher ceiling for us. So we had a bit of time. And as I said, we got in and out of the car 3 times. And I think the 3rd time I got out of the car, I was like, I can't be 100% sure that I got that exposure right, because I was running around like a dickhead trying to get all my compositions.
So there, see, you maybe put too much emphasis on the composition.
And I wanted to get it right in this case. So given that my emphasis is always on composition, I'm still going to say that composition is more important than exposure.
Okay. Wonder what everyone thinks.
It would be interesting. It's an interesting discussion.
I reckon composition will, if we did a poll. Actually, I might put a poll on the Down South Photo Show in reference to this.
It's probably already happened. So if you're watching this,
so check the Down South Photo Show Facebook page. There's a current poll on there. What's more important in landscape imaging? Is it the composition or the exposure being correct or exposing for the light? It'd be interesting. I think most people will go composition. But I reckon if people really dig deep and think about it,
as I said, it's a close run thing, but composition wins by default because it is alphabetically first.
There you go. That's settled then, isn't it?
That's right. That's over. Dear Cam, we did receive a Dear Cam-ish thing just very late before we went to air, so we won't. We'll hold that over for next week.
Yes.
It's a good one. It's a good one. So stay tuned.
Did I receive that as well, or did you receive it somewhere else?
That was from number 1 ticket holder.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that was a good question. Yes.
So that'll be on episode 135. So keep an ear out for that next week. Cam, we have this wonderful thing called the dsps.com.au website, dsps.com.au.
Yes, we do.
And if you want to jump over there and have a look at what goes on, Cameron has been putting up occasionally photos that we've been talking about on the show or updating it a little bit. There's also somewhere you can sign up for a newsletter as well. Which
there is.
So there's loads of stuff going on over at dsps.com.au.
There's so much stuff on there. I don't know what's going on.
You could spend days there, literally.
Yep. Yes.
You'd be crazy if you did, but you could. But you could also buy us a beer while you are over there on the dsps.com.au. So, Cameron, beer donations for this week, please.
Beer donations, Mallory has bought us another beer.
That's a record for shout outs for Mel. That's enough of Mel.
This episode is just called the Mel Show.
It is. It's sponsored by Mel and his beer.
Beer. And Jenny, who Eagle #1. There's a
Yeah,
bit of
see?
competition between those
That's right.
two.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We
We need some
like
other beer donators.
I was going to say we need a third party to trump them. Just get in
Yeah.
there and just go, well, here, boys, have.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's a truck of beer for the week.
I will reiterate that buying us a beer, yes, it does literally buy us beer, but it also helps us with things like microphones or paying for the channel or having the things we have to pay for, subscriptions and things for the upkeep for the channel. So thank you to everyone who does chip in a little bit to keep the Down South Photo Show ticking along, and we get to do what we love to do.
Yeah. We will update that website. There is a few things about our workshops on there. You can check out all the workshops we've got coming up. We've got the 2 single-day workshops in January 17th and January 18th
Quite
next
looking
year.
forward to those. They're good fun days.
They are good days. That kicks my year off. Like it's just they're pretty casual. They're good fun. And then then we're into the Murray Mallee in March. Then we've got the Great Ocean Road in May, and then we've got the Tarkine to Cradle in August.
Mm-hmm.
And then no doubt there'll be other stuff on there as we go along. So
absolutely. Yeah, brilliant. So jump over to dsps.com.au. Cam, what have you got coming up this coming week, given that we are now close to the end of this show?
Well, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. That will be on Sunday. Hope you all have a great day. Spoil them rotten, father or stepfather or person in place of father.
Does Noel watch the show?
No, Noel doesn't watch the show. Happy Father's Day, Dad. No,
come on, Noel.
I don't think. I reckon Dad would get maybe 10 seconds to go, this is bullshit, and turn it off.
Yeah.
He doesn't watch the
my
footy.
Old man would be exactly the same.
Yeah, he doesn't watch the foot. He doesn't watch the footy anymore because he doesn't like the commentary. So he sits there and watches it without the sound on, and then just gets the shits with it. Like, they're in their 70s now.
It's a window to the future, Cameron.
I don't think it's a window. I think I'm there as well. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm sure there's fathers listening, and they should get spoilt rotten.
Absolutely.
Yes, we don't do all the hard work as mums do as such with giving birth and things like that, but we certainly do a lot of supporting and emotional and physical support and everything else that goes with it. So
yes,
but that's not what I've got coming up. No. I have a week off, which is nice. I might even try and play some golf next week.
Don't.
Oh,
I'm playing golf next week.
Oh, really?
I'm very excited. I'm like, for the 4th time this year, I'm playing golf, and it'll be the first time this year I'll play golf without you.
Well, actually, that's the same with me. If I play next week, I'll be on my own. But I
used to play golf every week, folks, every week, and that just doesn't happen anymore. But that's fine. That means I'm busy.
Yeah, and you love it. Look in your face. You're just so happy about being busy.
Yeah. Big announcement in the golf world today, which we can talk about off air. Okay. You go.
Okay. So I got Tarkine as of next Friday. So a week from when this comes out, we're up to the Tarkine again. And then I'm back for...
You staying at Tall Timbers again?
We are staying at the Tall Timbers. 5-star Dan, who's just come back from jet setting around the world to Bali. I tell you what, I think
have a real job?
Apparently not. All I seem to do is pay him, and he just goes on holidays. So
he does more traveling than you and I put together.
I know. And he's just had his big tattoo sleeve covered up today. Like, he's had it all. Man, guy's living the life. I got to review his pay grade, I think. There's something going on there.
Riley.
And then I'm back for a couple of weeks, and then I'm off to Scotland to scout our trip, which I'm really excited about.
So you're squeezing Scotland in right before BFOP by the sounds of it.
I get back from Scotland 2 days before BFOP.
Wow. Jet lag will be very interesting.
So I've never experienced jet lag.
Get ready. When you do Europe back this way.
Yeah, everyone says it's shit.
It's
so
terrible.
Why is it? Why? What? Like, you're going back against the time? Is that right?
I don't know. Someone can comment below what the explanation is, but I experienced it in 2019. Came back from Northern Ireland. Well, we did Europe and came back from Northern Ireland. Holy man, it took me 10 days.
No, don't say that. What is it? You're just tired? Is that what it is?
You might not. Not everyone goes through it, but we certainly did. We tried the stay awake, we can do this sort of thing, but no, it was quite funny. Our flight came in at 5 a.m.
right
into Tullamarine, and then we've got the 2.5-hour drive to Ocean Grove.
Yeah,
got here and all just went to bed at 9 a.m. and slept for the whole day, which was the dumbest thing we could have done, but we just had to. We were absolutely shattered. So you'll be fine, mate. That's cool. This is where coffee might come into your world, and Red Bull.
I don't know. I don't know. And the thing is, I'm going with Cheryl because she's been to Scotland before and she's visiting her parents in Northern England. So I've got a bit of someone to help me out for a few days while I'm over there, but I'm coming back alone. So I don't know if that's a good thing either.
No, you'll be totally fine.
So then I've got to get up to BFOP. So if I see you at BFOP in September and I don't know where I am, just give me a small reminder of what I'm meant to be doing.
If you're in one of Cam's workshops on the top of Buffalo and he's asleep against a rock, you'll know why.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's what I got coming up. Gee, you've really made me excited.
But you're going to be awake all night. So you're going to be awful to be a drinking buddy because you're going to want to just keep on going and I'm just going to want to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's not happening. If I'm up, you're up. That's the deal.
I'm fully in the throes of the shop again. Had a interesting couple of days at the shop. We had my printers, every one of them serviced.
Right.
And it was fascinating to actually watch them all be completely stripped apart and rebuilt again. So
yeah.
A shout out to Hardy, who was my man who came down from Naritsu out of Sydney to service the two big Naritsu printers that I run. And brilliant, really, yeah, just as I say, fascinating to see the guts of these things and how they all work. They were already were printing pretty well given their age, but now they're printing like they're brand new again. So
right.
Yeah, pretty.
So is that something that's every year that you do? Or
every
not?
2 years for the photo
okay.
printers, yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, there was no problems. They didn't find any parts were about to break, so it wasn't too bad out of the old hip pocket. So that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Camera and Photo is smashing out the prints. Yeah, it's been really good.
We had a garage door service today.
Right.
And again, I sat here and watched a man work and tinker with my garage door.
Yes.
And this guy was a lovely guy. He came in and I got a couple of guitars that hang up here, and he's like, "Oh, you play guitar?" I said, "Oh, not really." He goes, I've just released a song with my mate. They're called Grizzly Steve. They're on Spotify." And he went through all these songs.
Grizzly Steve.
Grizzly Steve on Spotify. And one of the songs, like this guy had just had nothing but trauma in his life for the last 5 years. He'd lost a brother to mental health. He'd been in a serious car accident where people had died. His daughter had had some disorders with eating. His wife had severe depression, anxiety. And I'm sitting here going, wow, okay, cool. And he's like, but he was the happiest guy I've ever met. Anyway, the lovely guy serviced the garage door. And as he's leaving, Cheryl was still here. I was taking her to the airport and he was talking to her. And as he's leaving, he goes, "You know what, guys? Thanks for today." He goes, "You guys are lovely. And I've really enjoyed working here." He said, "The last guy I had was a prick." So this guy was just, like, it was like about an hour of, holy shit, who is this guy?
He came into your life for a reason, Cameron.
Maybe. Grizzly Steve, check it out. It's pretty heavy sort of metal, but
okay. Oh, geez, I thought he'd be country and western for sure, given his rap sheet.
Who's that? That guy from Preston.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, it was an interesting thing.
Yeah. My wife ran off with my best friend, and I sure do miss him.
Yes, that's right. Right. I think we've crapped. This has been. Hey, one other thing before we go.
Yes.
I hate this weekend because there's no football on.
There's
no football for your team next weekend either.
I love finals, and I know this is going to sound a bit funny, but I love finals when the Demons are not in it. It is a stress-free September. I can enjoy my footy, and this is where I try my hardest to get a ticket to a preliminary final, if there is one in Melbourne this year, which there may not be.
May not be, no. The prelim finals are the best, but they're not good if your team's playing.
They are the best game to go to if you're a neutral supporter.
Yeah, yeah. So go Hawks next week.
Yes.
They're back, maybe. I don't know. I do think we made a bet at the start of the year, didn't we?
We didn't.
Didn't we?
No. You were pushing me to, and I went, I'm not in on that. I couldn't possibly.
Anyway.
That's it. That's the podcast. Yeah. This has been episode 134 of the Down South Photo Show. Thank you for joining us. We will talk at you at least, with episode 135 next week. Bye for now.
Ciao.